So we got an update to the video that I did a couple videos ago about the Rogers Park violence and the North Pole violence in general, uptown Rogers Park. We had a crazy incident a few days ago that was like a scene out of a movie with two cars with shooters in them chasing after this one guy. And they said there's increasing indications, and this is being reported by CWB Chicago, shout out them, that an internal Chicago Police Department warning was right about four north side areas with a strong possibility of shooting. So a drive-by shooting just outside one of the zones that left a man dead and a woman injured on Sunday morning. Hours later, gunmen in two cars chased after another driver, firing shots at him until he crashed into an Edgewater restaurant. Now, Edgewater, for those of you guys who don't know, that's another neighborhood like at the north. It's part of the North Pole. It's all like right there, Rogers Park, Edgewater, Uptown. It's all like one zone. The chase began in the middle of one of the areas that CPD flagged for retaliation. So this is, since I reported the last video, there's been more drama up there, man. And I told you guys heard in that last video how many shootings there have been in this area over the last couple of months. So police were told to expect retaliation in two parts of Uptown, a section of Edgewater, and part of Rogers Park. And these are all gang territories. And I don't know if this was gang related or not, but it's happening in these zones. And they said there's a long running feud that's heating up right now between the Stones off Wilson Magnolia and the GDs to the north. And they still have not said which GDs this is. But I said, like in the last video, that one of the guys who got killed, where there was like a follow-up shooting after one of the previous shootings, the guy who was killed was Day Day World. Okay, so that's GDs off Thorndale. You won't hear the police call them Day Day World. They will usually refer to them as Gutterville. So anyways, since I dropped that video, here's what else has happened. Officials suspected a 30-year-old man that was shot and killed at 1300 block of West Devon, which I talked about in the weekend recap. It was around 1:30 a.m., and it happened on Sunday as he left the hookah lounge, and this place is called Samach, and it happened around closing time. So this is according to the alderman, and she said this on Facebook. So a woman was also shot in the leg. They said this is not the first shooting to take place outside this business since it borders our ward. And we're working with the 48th Ward alderperson and police as Area 3 detectives investigating. As I said in the video, that's like an Indian Pakistani business district, but it borders like a couple of these gang territories. You know what I'm saying? It's not, you go down there and it's like all these Indian restaurants. But kind of a lot of violence happens around there because, like I said, it's like in between a lot of these gang spots. So, PBG, Day Day World, and all that. Well, PBG is like to the north of that. Logue City's to the north of that. To the south of that, but like a little bit, like actually not too far to the south of that, but a little bit to the south is Day Day World, Gutterville. Okay, then way to the south is the Stones. Okay, like way to the south, all the way in Uptown. So they said this is not the first shooting to take place outside that business. And I don't know what this guy was doing. Okay, I don't know if he was on social media or whatever at the business. But anybody that's like, talking or anything like that on the phone or anything like that, or talking about where they're going to be or posting their plans anywhere on social media, that's a terrible idea. I've told guys this on Facebook, on Instagram and stuff like a million times. I'll see him on Facebook, on Instagram talking about, we're gonna all go over to this place and party tonight. And these are gang members talking about we're gonna be over here, we're gonna be having a party, we're gonna come turn up, celebrate so and so's birthday, and they're posting their own location ahead of time. These are guys that are involved in a gang war. It's like just practically daring the ops. I mean, I'm not saying that's their intent, but it's like you're telling them where you're gonna be ahead of time. They don't even have to do any like investigating to find out where you're gonna, they don't have to even do their homework to find out you're low. Then when it happens, people start pointing fingers, and you're the one that gave up the spot in the first place. So I don't know what was going on with this one, man, but never, ever, ever say you're gonna go to any spot like ahead of time if you take your life seriously. Anyways, they said this is not the first shooting to take place outside that business. So I don't know if that's a business where guys regularly hang out. So the shooting scene was just 2 blocks north of the hot zone that CPD flagged for retaliatory shootings between Granville, Ardmore, Broadway, and Sheridan. So then around 5 a.m., a 42-year-old man was targeted by 2 gunmen as he drove in the 5000 block of North Winthrop. Now, this guy being 42, I don't know if this was part of that. That's a little old for this. Some of these guys are like in their 30s now, some of the Day Day World members and stuff. The older generation, from that set, like these areas have been gang territories for a long time. So the older generation might be that age, but like the younger guys, I don't know if any. I don't know if they have any members that are 42 that are like part of the Day Day World set, or like the Stones or any. I don't know if they got any members that age. Maybe they do. I don't know. Big homies, yeah, but not like young active members. I don't know. But they said that that's in the center of the second CPD hotbox, running from Foster to Lawrence and Broadway to Sheridan. And that one may not have been related to this, but the man was driving when gunmen in two cars began shooting. So this was like a scene out of a movie. Like I said, they chased him all the way to the 5500 block of North Clark. So there's two cars following this guy, and they were pursuing him. Okay, like multiple blocks, and all the way as they were chasing him, they were firing at him. He finally crashed into a restaurant called the Little Bad Wolf. Now, this is over by Bryn Mawr and Sheridan. I'm sorry, Bryn Mawr and Ashland. So that's like, I don't think that's anybody's like neighborhood right there. But this was a chase. It was like a long chase, and they were firing shots the entire way. So the shooter's two cars split up after the crash. There was a white Hyundai that was heading north on Clark and a white Hyundai truck heading south on Clark. So they were both Hyundais. One was a truck and one was a car. The victim's car was hit by the bullets, but the guy was not hit. So anyways, the police made an arrest in connection with the incident, but a Chicago police spokesperson said that no charges were pending as of Sunday evening. So I don't know who they arrested and for what, because they didn't bring any charges against the guy. So CPD's crash report said the two cars cut the victim off at Bryn Mawr and Clark, and the gunman fired more shots toward him in the intersection. So, I mean, they were really hawking this guy down. That caused him to swerve and uncontrollably collide onto the wall of the restaurant. So they said this new cycle of gang violence began on May 23rd with the shooting of a 22-year-old over on Hula Gang's territory. And the gunman literally fell out of a moving SUV as he shot at the victim around 3:30 p.m., right in the middle of the day. That was according to an officer, and they said this was over in Day Day World's territory, and that was where Jamal from Day Day World was killed. So the car had rolled through the alley. A gunman fired from the vehicle. The officer at the scene said the police found a handgun in the victim's possession. So if you didn't see the last video that I saw about the North Pole, that I was posting about the North Pole, go check that out. There's been a lot of violence in that area last month. Just real quick, people didn't see the video. 4 people were shot in Oak Park during that funeral procession for the guy who was killed on Winthrop, Jamal. Since then, shootings occurred in Uptown on July 2nd, July 19th, and Tuesday. In Rogers Park, there were shootings on June 9th and June 22nd, then a triple shooting on June 25th. Another person was shot on July 5th, and 5 people were shot during a single incident on July 7th. Most recently, a man was shot on July 8th, and a lot of the Rogers Park shootings occurred over at Howard and Ashland. So Howard and Ashland is like one of the hottest corners on the north side. I would stay away from that corner if there's anybody over there. It's right by the L stop over there, so it's kind of a hot area, man. But a lot of that violence may not have been related to this, because that's just a violent area, period. Like, there's just a lot of just random violence that happens over there. So CPD issued the warning to officers after 3 men were shot Tuesday near the Wilson CTA station in Uptown, and that's another place that you guys have seen in a lot of my videos. I'm showing you guys the North Pole in this video. That camera, it came, but it doesn't work. So I don't know, man. I'm looking for another one. I'm gonna try and keep looking for something, man, because the image stabilization I know is a problem. And for those of you guys who didn't see the previous video that I did on Up North, you can go check that out. Be very careful and vigilant around there, man, because there's a lot of people in that neighborhood that are not involved in nothing. College students, senior citizens. It's a very diverse, eclectic neighborhood. I put the camera in some of these videos on some of the African restaurants. The Africans have a lot of their businesses in this area, and the majority of them are not on nothing. And Indians, Asians, there's the Vietnamese area off of Argyle. It's a very diverse neighborhood. I may actually do a separate video on how that neighborhood got so diverse, because that's a very interesting story, actually. There was like a bunch of wars in other countries. They had people coming over here in droves and like settling in that neighborhood. And these are people that were like back there were like mortal enemies. they're living side by side over here in peace in that neighborhood. But then again, they fled one war zone and now it's a gang war zone. But anyways, yeah, so be vigilant around there, especially if you go to Truman College, because a lot of people, come to Truman College from other parts of the city, and they're coming to the north side. Some of these guys are coming from the south and west sides, and I don't know if they're aware or not, but they're right in the middle of like hooligans. Well, not right in the middle, but like literally right next to it, the next block, hooligans territory right there. But anyways, man, be careful out there, guys. Your boy Winnie C report. I'm out.